Well,
Yeah.
hey, we've got 5 people watching live, and this is going to be recorded for. This will be available for replay for a bunch of other people. So we might as well get right into it. Uh,
Yeah.
Camilla Wickman, you have an album coming out shortly, August, right? August 22nd, is it?
Mhm.
Cool. And we kind of crossed paths here through the Substack machinery, the magic, and here we are, and we're going to talk about putting an album out
Yeah.
in this time in this wild era that we're in right now.
hmm
But also too, and I've seen it as well in your recent newsletter post was escaping, getting out of the meta world, right?
hmm hmm
Um, and Social Media Escape Club having anything to do with that, which warms my heart. I love that. But can you talk a bit about that? Because of course, as a musician, as an artist, there's a lot of musicians and artists out there that are just like, I can't do that. It's impossible. If I do it,
hmm
everything will implode. But you're still here, so please,
Yes, I'm
please, if
still
you
here.
if you could share how you're still making that work.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sort of at the very beginning of my journey. Um, but I think last August I launched a Kickstarter to just finish this project up. And I was really going heavy on the promotion. I had watched this video. I don't remember who made it, but it was like a 6-month plan for releasing an album, and it was
Ooh.
like you have to make like 3 reels to 5 reels a week on Instagram and TikTok, and this is how you do it, this is how you get engagement. And I didn't have a whole lot of mentorship or compass in the commercial music world, and so I was just like, this is the way we have to do it. um And so I tried to do that for a couple of months, sort of knowing that it wasn't me, like, this is not what I wanted to do, but thinking, well, this is how it has to be done. And by the time that period had ended, I was just totally burnt out. Um, and I had a kind of moment of realization in the fall where I was like, if I go into a process that is only going to work if I commit to doing it for a long time, knowing that I can't commit to doing it for a long time, then I'm just shooting myself in the foot. Um, and I don't think that I was like sort of landed in the arms of a solution immediately. There's been a long period over the winter and early spring where I was just like, what now? What does it look like to kind of try and play the long game or just be authentic? Um, and I think there was a minute there where I was like, maybe I just quit music.
Yeah,
um,
seen that.
but I think, yeah, yeah. But then I had, the deal with Paper Gardens came along, and I started to feel a little bit more supported. And I was like, okay, you have there are people in your corner, and this collaboration depends on you showing up and taking your work seriously. Um, and so now I feel more empowered to kind of do that in a way that's consistent, but not necessarily pandering to the kind of algorithmic deities
Mm.
um,
Yeah,
controlling fame and things like that. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely coming out of a big kind of fog and a bit of just sort of exhaustion and
hmm,
hopelessness, I think. Which is it's all part of the process. But um, I think coming across your Substack, I found you via Olivia Rafferty.
oh great, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
cool,
I
cool.
was like, oh, there are other people who are on this wavelength,
Hmm.
um, and that's been like a support, knowing that exists and that you're doing this work. So yeah,
Yeah, it's easy to see the supposed success of all these other artists out there doing what they're
Mhm,
doing and how they're doing it. I'm thinking like, wow, well, I guess that's how I have to do it. Um, when there's a much quieter or less visible group of artists and musicians and all sorts of creative people doing it and figuring it out how to do it closer to their way, a way
mhm,
that aligns with them, which only benefits their work then. If they do something that doesn't, you know, make them feel dead inside of fighting with an algorithm, because I've seen it and I've heard it over the years of artists
mhm,
just banging their heads against the wall of like, I'm doing this work, and apparently it's not very good because nobody cares, which is not true. It's just that nobody knows about it because because
mhm,
maybe you're not being loud enough or putting up enough dance videos to appease the algorithm.
mhm,
Which
mhm.
then, yeah, I just remember a tweet that someone posted. It was something along the lines of like, I'm bummed that like the only way to make it in music is to be a social media expert,
Yeah, yeah.
which
Mhm,
looks very apparent. It's like, oh yeah,
mhm, mhm,
if you're not there doing that all the time and feeding that machine, you can't do it. But then
mhm,
there's still people that are doing it well and have a following and this and that, and that's no guarantee of success because they can have
mhm,
six figure
mhm.
followings, put out an album, and it could be crickets.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. If the work itself is lacking something. Yeah, and it's so because there are so many people who feel this way, and I
hmm
think knowing that, it's like, well, if artists are the people who are creating the culture, why are we agreeing to this, It's our job
hmm
to disagree with what, isn't working. Um,
yes.
and yeah.
When I started doing, I kind of got into this by accident. I started doing my newsletter. It was originally called Heavy Metal Email because that's the area I work in and heavy metal
Mhm,
bands. And I thought I was because I saw all these bands with their huge followings, not like just go like people wouldn't see what they were posting. They would have 10,000 followers and 30 likes. I was like, well,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
this is wrong. This is not how it should work. And I really
Yeah.
thought I was somehow, and this will sound stupid and businessy, but I thought I was going to be selling ebooks on how to build landing pages for those bands. When
Mhm, mhm.
no band, no musician gives a shit about landing pages. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like I just want to make my art, and so yeah. Then as I got closer to the people that were reading my newsletter and doing like weekly Zoom calls,
Mhm.
I did see a lot of that hopelessness at first. A lot of people were on those calls of like, what are we gonna do? And now I tell the story. It's fun. Like after a year and a half, like there's people on those calls that are just like, who cares? Like they're making zines and business cards and like calling radio stations and stuff. Like it's
Mhm,
amazing.
mhm.
So yeah, to your point, yes, the artists, the musicians are the ones that are here to disagree and like challenge stuff. And it's like how we bought into or ultimately we were sold on the idea if you set up shop here, here's where your audience is.
Mhm,
And we believed
mhm.
it for a minute because for a minute that kind of worked for a lot of people. The casino has to pay out on occasion. Um,
Right, right.
But as we found, like not everybody wins that lottery, and not everybody needs to win that lottery. There's a lot of artists and musicians out there that are doing well in their own communities, their own regions, and doing great.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's funny to think of this thing being advertised as a tool when it's like, we are the tool, A little
Yeah.
bit, we go on there and we're the tool, um, for the advertisers and
hmm
stuff like that. Um, but yeah, yeah, I'm definitely in an era of experimentation, saying, "Okay, how is this gonna work?"
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I saw that too. Like on your Instagram, you had, hey, by the way, I started a Substack. And how has the reaction to that been? How is the mechanics of that been?
Yeah. I think it's been a slow trickle of
Hmm.
transitioning people over to the newsletter. I'm gonna try and double down a little bit more, but I'm sure, as you know, it's kind of hard to bring people out of one platform and onto another.
Absolutely.
Um, so yeah, it's definitely like I get a few more subscribers every time I go on and I say,
Hmm.
"Hey, by the way, I'm only here on Instagram to get you on the Substack,"
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that with some consistency, things will start to pick up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. Know that that's a challenge for everybody in this and
Mhm.
trying to do that, trying to get anybody, because a lot of people on social media love being on social media.
Mhm.
And,
Mm.
so yeah, it's hard for a lot of people to do that, to get people over. So,
Yeah.
but if
Yeah.
you're getting a few people here and there, that's great.
Yeah, it's one drop at a time.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So talk about your music a bit. This new album that's coming. This isn't your first, is it? Didn't you
It
have another? It is.
is.
Oh, okay. You
Yeah,
did have
it's my
other music on
first.
Bandcamp, right? Or
Yeah. So the music I have up has just been like singles and EPs that are
okay,
leading up to the album.
okay,
Um, but I definitely consider it all to be part of that one body of work.
cool,
Um,
cool.
yeah.
And so,
Um,
how has that been? How has that come about over the years, or how long has it been that you've been doing exactly this part, or
yeah,
leading up to this
I
release?
so I wrote I think my first song on Red Rock Sealskin in 2020.
Mm,
Um, and it was sort of an intuitive like songwriting process. I didn't see a narrative, like a continuous narrative or theme come in until like 2022 was when I was like, okay, this is a thing.
mm,
Um, I was in school still, and I did a composition program, and I really wanted to see if I could get like credit to do songwriting as my capstone. Um, and so a lot of the music was written with this final kind of recital in mind. Um, and I thought, well, it would be really smart if I took this work and I managed to kind of stitch together my college life and kind of make this thing that I've been doing work for me post grad.
mm.
Um, so I got like a small grant to keep working on it. Wrote a couple more songs and um, snuck into the recording studio at the school with my access badge to finish things up. But yeah, it's felt sort of like a bit of a piecemeal process, bringing the project to what it is now. I think from a space that was initially like very academic.
Mm.
Yeah,
And you have a number,
yeah.
like, guest musicians on there too, right? Like other people
Mhm.
involved, like, uh, helping you bring it to life?
Yes. A lot of them were school friends, and
Mm.
some of them were friends I just kind of happened to meet in the wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that from, like, kind of the local music scene too at all? Or is that something that you're find yourself in and
Yeah.
a part of?
So a lot of the musicians I had were, um, I think they're all like California folks because I
Okay.
was in the Bay Area. Um, and I had spent some time in like the sort of traditional Irish music scene. And so my non-school friends who were part of my project and also just sort of part of my musical life in general were all doing like traditional Irish music, um, among other things. So
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I have a friend who played fiddle on one of my songs and who also did a lot of the mixing and mastering. I met at like a folk camp
Mm.
in Northern California, and yeah, yeah, they've been awesome to work with. Um, so
I'm just going to drop the link to your Bandcamp in here. Or if people watching, you can click up here, I think, to find Camilla's Substack. And then from there, you can also find their music and everything like that too. So,
mhm, mhm.
um, so you got to pre-order that
Yeah.
for that out August 22nd, 2025. Um, oh wait, no, that isn't this. Oh, it is this one, Red Rock Seal Skin.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Doing things live and clicking around are probably not what I should be doing. But yeah,
I
and
mean,
also
someone has
too,
to do it, so
I get yeah, I don't have a producer
yeah.
here or anything like that. Yeah, don't not a fancy no fancy setup here. Um, and a website too. Again, this is quite a thing for an artist in 2025. This keeps coming up is to have a website, and you have this
Mhm.
website. How long have you had that and been updating that and all that?
Yeah, I've had a website for a few years, but it was kind of like a haunted house, you know? Kind of
Sure.
links that would lead to nowhere and
Hmm.
old work samples from, like, school projects that weren't very good. Um, and then this spring, I was like, "Okay, we need to make this look like a real website where, you know, all the links work and it's not cluttered." Um, and so um, one of my good friends kind of just went in, I gave them the the login information to Squarespace, and they
Yeah.
went to work.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it's yeah. So that's the way that it is now is quite new. I think before it was yeah, it's kind of dysfunctional.
Web,
Um,
websites can just evolve and everything. So as we go, this looks great. I mean,
mhm,
the page for the album has the Bandcamp embed, which I such a fan of. Let people pay for your music, kind of a thing. Like let people like
mhm,
so.
mhm.
Yeah, this looks great.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Paper Garden Records.
Mhm.
How did that come about? How did you meet up with them?
Yeah, so I'd been following them for a few years,
Hmm.
um, and they just had, like, a posted on Instagram, which I still use,
Sure, sure,
um,
whatever.
but that they were doing a open call for to bring new artists onto the label, and so I was like, "Well, this is great timing," you know, I have
Hmm.
this thing that I just completed, and obviously I don't know if anything's gonna come of it, but I went ahead and sent my stuff, and, um, Brian, the director, really liked it and was like, "Yeah, we'd love to work with you on putting this out," which was a real boon, 'cause I was emerging from this process just, like, you know, barely alive, and, um, initially, I was really intent on finding ways to share it with people and, um, make it more visible, but I was like, I give you know, and then this happened, and
Hmm.
it was yeah, um,
That's great.
really good, so
Especially to the timing of that. That
mhm,
they had that they put up that kind of open call. You had an album kind of ready to go. That's great.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah, I feel very grateful,
Yeah.
and I'm still kind of like, "Oh, I can't believe that this happened." Yeah, yeah.
To a degree, then, was there like when you saw that? I mean, I'm trying to set up this question because often so many artists are just like, that's not for me, or I'm not ready for that, or I'm like,
Mhm.
was there any bit of that swirling around, or were you just like, nope, I'm going for it?
Well, the interesting thing is it's like I don't have any problem sort of throwing spaghetti at the wall. I'm like, I might as well, right?
Yeah.
I think where I get tripped up is when I'm actually offered opportunities.
Mm,
Um, because oftentimes I'll put things out just sort of expecting that nothing will happen. Um, and
yeah.
that's no challenge to my low self-esteem, right? Or, I love myself and stuff, but when people are like, "Yes, I like this," I'm sort of like, "Is life scamming me?" There's a bit of, I think, a reluctance to follow through, I've found,
Mm,
that I've been sort of sitting with and trying to understand. Um, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, in that sense too. I mean, I'm sure Paper Guard was like, hey, this is what we can do together, right? Like,
Mhm, mhm.
we can assist with this and help with this. Like, they probably made it pretty comfortable for you to like, hey, this might be something good to do, right?
Yeah, yeah. And they were also very affirming, it didn't feel like it was like, "Okay, so you've clearly listened to my music, and you've listed the specific things that you like about it, so
Mm,
I know that it's, like, working."
yeah,
Um, yeah, yeah. I guess the validation piece is helpful. Um, yeah. In addition to being, very specific on sort of what that
mhm,
collaboration would look like. Um,
mhm. Right,
yeah,
right, yeah. Because
yeah.
you said you were ready to like, okay, I'm going to put this out, and here's how I'm going to share it, this and that. Yeah, but they came back. I mean, so now that plan's changed, but I'm sure it's in alignment with what you were looking to do, anyways, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
there's always the fun part, especially in 2025, because everybody's like, labels are bad, labels are they're the worst. You could do everything on by yourself, and
Yeah.
I worked for a label, and I hear it a lot,
Mhm, mhm.
and so, but there's good people doing good stuff at some of these labels that can help you
Yeah,
achieve what you want to do with your music and how you want to release it.
yeah. I think people well, maybe people don't, but the people who are like, "Do it all yourself," I think
Mhm,
it's easy to underestimate how important it is to just have someone in your corner. Like,
mhm,
I mean, self-belief and belief in your project, I think is a requirement if you don't wanna find yourself like, to not believe in yourself is kind of creative suicide, but
mm,
it is, like, it's huge to feel, I think, supported, especially by people who know more about the business aspect of things than you might, um, or at least that's how I feel. Um, yeah. So, yeah, but I was about to put it out and then be like, "This might be I'm gonna take a really, really long break and maybe go into the landscaping business," and it's
not
like,
now. You got late
not
night
now.
TV show appearances lined up now.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Um, which I guess that is kind of a vulnerable thing to admit, like, but I think a lot of artists are on the edge of that, like, when am I gonna call it quits? Because this is just really
Mm,
hard. Um,
yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah.
that's really cool that came along and worked out like that. And as I told you earlier, like, I've known Brian from Paper Garden, on the periphery, like, me and him, like, from my New York City days when I lived there in like 2006, 7. Um, it's so wild. Like, I was a music vlogger back then, and he
Mhm,
had started
mhm.
Paper Garden Records. It was like, and for you to show me that, like, oh yeah, I just signed this deal. What a
Yeah,
small world.
this
It's
indeed.
so wild. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
let's just wrap up quick, or whatever. I just want to touch on the part of, the music business, or the business of all the stuff, can be
Mhm.
so, and there's so many voices and so many people out there, like, how, like, you had dabbled in some of it, and then you're like, you whoa, and then found, like, cool, you found Olivia's interview and how she's doing that, which led to me. I don't know. I Somehow you have had to have come across Cassidy of Dedicate Your Life to Music and what they're doing
Yes, yes,
on
I'm
Substack.
following them. Mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
great. Yes, because
Yeah.
Cassidy, absolute champion for artists doing this stuff.
Mhm.
Not so much too, like, okay, you're on your own, solo, do everything yourself, like, but building,
Yeah,
like, those people around you to help support, and not even just in the professional, like, this is the label and this, but like other people to, like, creatively,
yeah, yeah.
and, like, even businessy wise, to just be like, is this a thing? Does this sound right? So yeah, I mean,
Mhm,
the work that
mhm.
Cassidy does on that front. And there's so many people out there that do want to do this the right way and share
Yeah,
it the right
yeah.
way, and
Mhm.
so I don't know if that was really a question, but I'm glad that you didn't fall completely into the music biz YouTube spiral, because that could be.
Yeah.
And to speak
Mm,
then to, of almost then, of like, when you do that and you're like, oh my goodness, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Going back to earlier, like, maybe
mhm,
I should quit, which is such
mhm.
a bummer. And like, so it, I don't know. So if anyone listening, as an artist, how do you keep looking? How do you find and not give up? How did you not give up then?
I mean, I think this is a question to me.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, cool. I
Yeah.
just wanna make sure this to our listeners, how did you not give up?
All
Um
21 people on here, hit us
Yeah.
back. No, for you,
Um,
yeah. How did you not throw in the towel?
yeah, I mean, I think a big part of it was just letting myself take breaks to process, um, and another part of it was just I've poured so much energy into this project in particular over the years, and even though, like, my energy has flagged, I think my belief in what I'm doing has remained pretty consistent. Um, I've also I had, like, a series of kind of semi ominous dreams that are
Mm,
like, "You have to finish this project or else you'll get, like, you know,
okay.
you'll be sad," and I I mean, dreams can be silly, but I do take that kind of thing pretty seriously, and so I was like, "Something in my subconscious is telling me that I need to keep going, or else
Mm,
something inside of me will die, and I wanna
okay.
keep that thing alive." Um, and yeah, so it was really that kinda deep commitment, I think, to an inner voice maybe, um, and also just these kind of coincidental moments of people encouraging me to keep going. Yeah, yeah. Playing a show and someone saying, "I really loved what you did."
Mm,
Um, yeah, and also the kind of the help of Brian and, um, yeah, I think all of that has helped
that's
me.
one of the underlying things there. I think is just having being open to hearing from those people, like, being around and being open to that, but also too of having that downtime, and like, maybe not downtime, but just like being able to listen, like you said, with dreams, like,
Mhm.
heck yeah. Like, I talked with someone recently too about omens. Like, oh yeah,
Mm,
like, and I haven't even thought about it much, that the idea of omens, but we got talking about it and it's just like, whoa, okay, yeah. Like, why
yeah,
not? Like, again,
yeah.
with everything else going on in the world, why not think about that? Why not listen to our dreams? Why not, like,
Mhm, mhm,
send out that email, whatever, like, and talk to
mhm.
someone? So you never know. So
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I definitely think there's stuff at work in the mind, that can be hard to listen to in the day to day, but
Hmm.
um, drives us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard to hear those or pay attention to those if we're just on our phone all day scrolling, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
sorry to bring that back
Yeah.
to Social Media Escape Club,
Oh
but
no,
no,
I mean that's it's so
but no,
important.
it like yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes it's easy sometimes to think of like the frivolous nature of some of this stuff of like oh, the Social Media Escape Club, but it's like no,
Mhm.
like let's get off of these platforms and
Mhm.
make music
Mhm.
together and listen and find and seek and discover new artists and support that rather than the tech bro oligarchy. So
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Someone had a question. Where's that?
yeah. Following questions on here is hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alex
Let's
says
see.
very excited for the new album to be out. I love those songs so much.
Alex.
Cool.
Alex is my friend and we play together
Oh,
sometimes.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. She's really, really talented. Thanks, Alex. Yeah.
Oh, Ashley's question was: I have other websites, but I don't have one for my. Okay. I'm not sure what that question is, but Ashley, but if you could DM me or something like that, I can get back to you or whatever. That's fine. So, um, so to wrap up, yeah, Red Rock Sealskin out August 22nd, 2025 on Paper Garden Records, and yeah. So
Yeah.
come on, thank you so much for hanging out and talking about your music and talking about
Yeah.
how you're navigating this wild world in 2025.
Yeah. Thanks for having me and for letting
Absolutely,
me talk about my music. And
totally.
yeah, it's nice to hear from this person that I've been admiring from afar for so long. So,
I I
um,
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
yeah,
I
yeah.
it's
Not to
still
be a like, I don't know, um,
I
parasocial about this, but
no, I
yeah.
mean it's again me doing my weekly calls lately and stuff like that. I'm hearing more of that and in good ways, not again, not parasocial ways, but just like, oh shoot, like the music you make is important. Like to for the community, for the people around you, for the world. We need to make
Mhm.
music. Music is hope, music is joy, music is all that. And so, yeah, to hear anything about Social Media Escape Club having any part of that, like it helping that, like, yeah, so I'm stoked and happy to
Huh.
be a part of that. So
Yeah.
cool.
All
Yay.
right.
Awesome.
Well,
Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. There'll be a replay video posted shortly. And yeah, go get that album. Go pre-order Bandcamp. All right.
get me
Bye
Taco
all.
Bell.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.